Hello, witches! Grab your goat, grab a drink, and hold on to your witch hat because it is time for the Witches Movie Coven. Yes, witches, real witches, talking about witches and witchy movies from all kinds of cinema. Yes, indeed. Oh, what a lovely teacup, Richard-Lael. That's beautiful. Anyway, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. You might know me from the Witches, from the Witches Movie Coven, right here, right now. Thank you for coming. Or from my regular podcast, The Witching Hour, from television shows here, there, and everywhere. Or my school, University Magicus, or my streaming network, Paraflix, because I'm everywhere. But right now, I am here and thrilled to be here. Let me pass it to my three co-hosts who are here right now. Let's start this time with the lovely Courtney Buckley.
That's me, Courtney Buckley, Ghost Bait on Scared and Alone. I just barely made it to the live stream here tonight because I literally seconds ago finished watching the movie so that I could be prepared to talk about it. So, well, it's fresh on my mind and I'm excited to get into it.
Which makes me very, very happy because I haven't watched it yet. I watched it's like this is the first time of all the times I've never even done a speed through. I've fallen asleep a couple of times, but I missed it. So thank you, Courtney. So let's move over down to the handsome and dapper Richard-Lael Lillard.
That would be me. Richard-Lael is one name, not two, as it says somewhere around there. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I'd be a... That's right. I would be one of those. I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. I'm a psychic medium. I used to be a psychic small, but I gained some weight. I am known a little bit of everywhere. Ghost Adventures, University of Magicus. I also teach at this new school called the House of Oracle, which is another little side thing that I do, and I'm a little bit of everywhere. I'm easy. I also, you can find me here in New Orleans. I do seances in my home. I do tarot cards. But if you would like to sleep with me, you may, over wherever this is. There's a QR code somewhere. You can go join the coven. You can get a pillow. You can get Courtney's quotes. You used to be able to get into Patty's panties, but those are on back order for right now. You could be a bro witch. You could be like Heather and not mind it. You can get our books. You can join the coven right over there, mysterycontrol.com.
Thank you very, very much indeed. Yes, that's Richard-Lael's art right there. Beautiful, real art. Fabulous. And last and never least, the guy with the golden locks, Jason Mankey.
I'm Jason Mankey. You've probably seen me at your local witch/metaphysical bookshop because I have written how many? 10 books. Woo!
And the best part about that, Jason Mankey, is that you have real 10 fingers. You are not AI. You are not AI.
When I get up to 12, though, I'm gonna do an AI picture of me with 6 fingers on each hand that will just pop up when we're doing the intros on the show.
My name is Benjamin Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I'm just so excited. I'm gonna see you tomorrow.
I know,
about this time. I know, face to face.
Yes.
Very thrilled.
I am so thrilled. I can hardly stand it. And I'm going to now, whether you go on it or not, spend the whole weekend with you.
It's going to be great.
Yes, it's going to be great. For anybody who was going out to Boyd for my paranormal investigation and seance, due to illness of the producer, we've had to postpone that till actually September, I think. But I'm going to be at PecanaCon with Jason and Heather all weekend. I am great. Now, Heather, you see, is not with us because she is flying today, and flying is not what it used to be. I think she's lost looking for her luggage somewhere in Minneapolis.
She should have taken the broom like every normal witch.
Well, she should have.
Must have been in the shop.
It must have been in the shop. Getting a
Or a Roomba, like modern witches.
yeah. Oh, a Broomba. There should be a
Mm.
Broomba. Not a Roomba. Roomba. Anyway, today's movie, Nightmare Alley 2021. I do believe it's a remake of an old film. Hopefully you all watched it, not like me, do as I say, not as I do, but just in case, Richard-Lael, do you have an unbiased synopsis of this mysterious film?
I actually do. It is going to be hard for me to hold back on this one because, well, I'm the one who picked it. So it's going to be really hard for me to hold back my enthusiasm. It's based off of a book by the same name and then a 1947 film of the same name. It follows the rise and fall of a man who is haunted by a burning house and desperate to leave his old life behind, runs away and joins a traveling carnival. The dream of everyone that I know to run away and join a traveling carnival in the Great Depression. So while he's there, he actually befriends Madame Zena and her husband. Madame Zena is a tarot reader and probably a psychic medium in and of her own right, but she and her husband have a typical sideshow grift where they are mentalists, and they have taught this Stan Carlisle the entirety of their of their act. Well, Stan Carlisle falls in love with the girl who does an electrician act, and they run away, and many years later, they are doing very well as mentalists. They have traveled, they have made a lot of money, and they are very much in love, excepting they're not. And it's transactional, and the woman, as they are out performing in a hotel, the woman forgets her cue. And it just so happens that in the audience that evening is a wicked psychiatrist named Lilith. Of course, she's named Lilith. And this psychiatrist happens to know a grift when she sees one. And she demands that Bradley Cooper's character, Stan Carlisle, tell her what she is holding and what is inside the contents of her bag. And he starts off lipstick, compact powder, and then he gets her and he tells that it is a nickel plated with a pearl handle. And then it gets really dark and really personal, and he tells her some very dark secrets that she had not wanted to reveal to anybody. Well, in this whole sort of upheaval, he had to sort of go into a spook show, a show that he was warned to never, ever do. Originally, he thought going into a spook show gave people hope, but he went into a spook show and saw a dead relative, and then, right at the height of it, decides to faint because he was overcome by the spirit. And then this person begs to speak to the son that he lost in the war. He begs, he begs, he begs. And because he's a carny, he decides he's going to go against the rules and do the spook show, where he is not a medium, he is not a psychic, he is a grifter. And he does it. But he does so with the aid of Lilith, the psychiatrist. And things start going really well, and he's got some really high dollar clients. One client in particular is giving him $10,000 a session in the early 1940s, which is a lot of money now. It was a lot of money then. But he tells the psychiatrist, I'll give you half of it, but I want to store all of it here so that I don't have to go back and tell the girl. So he does. Well, the one thing leads to another, and the man is tired, the rich man is tired of the constant guilt and tired of the constant a barrage of attacks that he feels for this lover that he had way back in 1901, whom he unalived, along with the child that she was to have. And he, as it turns out, in the seance, they want to materialize in physical form this lover. And so Bradley Cooper's character, Stan Carlisle, has taken this girl who has said, I don't want anything else to do with you. I'm going to do this one act and then I'm going to go. Dresses her up as the historical image of the lover, and the rich man finds out. So the only way that he can escape is to unalive both this wealthy man and the security guard in a rather brutal fashion. And then he goes back to the psychiatrist and he's asking for the money. And she hands him the alligator bag and she says, take it, Stan. Just go and run. I really do love you. And Stan stops. And he turns around and he opens the bag because the one thing that he was never supposed to do was to oversell it. And when she oversold it, I really do love you, he finds that it's small notes wrapped in just newspaper. There's not more than $100. Of all of this money that he had, it's like $100. And so she switches on her recording and she acts as if that he is one of her patients who's gone rogue. And then she pulls out that little and she blasts him. It rips off his ear. And Stan Carlisle escapes because now he's wanted for some major crimes. And he finds himself back in a carnival. This time as the geek, which I failed to mention in the first opening act. He finds this sideshow who's the freak, the geek. They found some poor schlub, and he eats a chicken live, and he's somehow between man and human, man and ape. He's the missing link. Well, Stan Carlisle ends up back at another carnival, and the man says, "Well, I've got a little job for you. It's not really, it's just temporary, but it's a job. You ever heard of the geek, right?" And Stan Carlisle is broken. He's a broken man. He now has nothing to live for. And he says in his closing words, "Yes, sir, I was meant for it." The end. That's it.
Beautiful. That was your finest, most entertaining, and complete synopsis ever.
Are we frozen? Am I frozen?
No,
Just you.
Just
You're
you.
unfrozen.
That was beautiful, Richard-Lael. That was beautiful. Now, as we see here, there is not here, but Jason, do you have a scarf? Can you play Heather on TV?
I don't know who's frozen.
I can play Heather on TV. I'm ready.
Oh, do we have
'Cause
5 more things we need to know about this film?
I found 5 things in like 15 minutes before we got on air because it was a last minute thing. But as Patty and Richard-Lael have already pointed out, this is based on a novel that was released in 1946. The author of the novel was William Lindsay Gresham, who was English, and he was friends with people like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. Just a year after the novel came out, it was adapted to the screen. And that first adaptation was pretty successful and in Europe played in movie theaters until the mid 50s. The 1947 edition of the movie also had a much happier ending with protagonist Stanton Carlisle reuniting with Molly at the carnival he ends up working at the end of the book and or movie. So it was a little more hopeful than the one that we all watched recently for this show. Our version of the movie in 2021 was a giant box office bomb. This might have been one of Del Toro's most unsuccessful films ever, earning just $39.5 million, but costing $60 million to make. This movie was released, though, in December of 2021. And while the COVID pandemic was mostly over by then, a lot of people were still scared to go into the movie theaters. I think the only movie in 2021 that did particularly well at the box office was the third Spider-Man movie. So maybe it just got caught up in that. Also, though, the movie is really, really, really long at over 2.5 hours, and it's hard to schedule a movie in theaters when it is really, really, really long. However, despite doing poorly, it was a critical success, and it was voted one of the 10 best pictures of the year by all kinds of critics association, and it was nominated for 4 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. And I think those are all worthy Oscar nominations for this particular film. However, it did not win any of those categories. In 2022, the film was re-released back into theaters in a black and white version with 9 extra minutes tacked on. This is the the director's preferred edition of the film, and you can buy the Criterion Collection disc if you're really interested in that. And I hear that both versions are available on streaming on Disney and Hulu, I think is what our producer said. I didn't know that, and so I watched it on YouTube TV with commercials, which made it even longer. And I swear with commercials, it was about 9 hours long. Shooting started in early 2020, but was shut down in March because of COVID. It resumed 6 months later under strict COVID protocols. Bradley Cooper, who starred in the film, said that the 6 months was really great because this was a really deep movie and it gave all of the actors and Guillermo del Toro, who was the director, a lot of time to think about what was going on in the film. Cate Blanchett, though, had already completed her job in the movie when production was shut down. They finished about 45% when it was shut down in March, and then 6 months later, they picked it up and worked until about Christmas to finish the movie. Bradley Cooper said, "We made Nightmare Alley for the last 2.5 years." He was also a producer. "It was a unique experience going through the pandemic, taking 6 months off, and then revisiting the movie." He said that he and Del Toro became lifelong friends and that it was an artistic experience. Speaking of Bradley Cooper, the casting in this movie was off the hook, though Bradley Cooper almost did not get the main role, and Leonardo DiCaprio was originally in talks to star in the film, but it ended up being Bradley Cooper, thank heavens. But also Cate Blanchett was in the movie. Most of us are familiar with Cate Blanchett. She's been in tons of things. My favorite role is when she's Hela in the third Thor movie. She crushes it in that. Toni Collette was in the movie. She starred in Hereditary, which we've done on the show. Willem Dafoe was in Nosferatu, which we've done in the show. Richard Jenkins, who ends up being the Mark at the end of the film, he was in Elf, along with Mary Steenburgen, who's also in this movie. And we had to do Elf because Heather and I love it, and Richard-Lael hates it for the show. Rooney Mara was in this movie. She was in the 2010 adaptation of Nightmare on Elm Street. And the great Ron Perlman was in this movie. You might know him as Hellboy in the first 2 Hellboy movies. So that's 4 things. This 5th thing, this is a question that I had while we were watching it. Why did we do this movie? Because this movie doesn't have witches, but it does have tarot readings. And though not necessarily a supernatural film,
I will tell you why.
Xena the Seer is a real psychic in the movie because she's really proficient with tarot cards, as is her dead husband, Pete. And both of them make mention of the cards and seem to take the cards very, very seriously. If you got a good look at the cards in the movie, they're absolutely gorgeous. However, not a real deck at all, but they were just designed for the movie, and they're sort of based on the Tarot of Marseille, but with some artistic license. The cards in the movie, though, also only utilize the major arcana, and there's a reason for that. The book itself references the major arcana quite a bit. The book has 22 chapters for the 22 major arcana, with each chapter representing one of the cards. The author of the book, though, did mix up the tarot cards from their traditional spots in the deck, but he used all of them. And like each chapter was, the Tower, the Hangman, the Lovers, etc., etc. The original cover of the book has a hanged man on it, and some of the original 1948 movie posters have the star of that film tangled up exactly like the hangman. So the tarot plays a pretty big role in this film, which, if you're a tarot fan like I am, that is something that is really cool. And if you were watching the movie, you know that the big reading at the end of the movie, or not the end of the movie, but at the kind of the beginning of the movie, that shows how everything is going to sort of come to fruition. We see the Tower, the Lovers, and the Hangman reversed, and all of that does come to pass. So this movie, though not necessarily witchy, does have witchy elements like the tarot in it. And that is 5 things that you probably should know about this movie. I'm sure Heather had 5 better things, but we were in a hurry, and that's what you got.
That was beautiful. That was perfect. That was great. Yeah, and I can't wait to watch this movie now. Maybe a week late, but I can't wait to watch it. So okay, Courtney, you're freshest off of watching of the movie, and you look like you just ate a canary. So,
Well, I too had the same question as Jason, but maybe for different reasons. Because Jason asked, "Why are we watching this movie?" Because how is it witch related? I asked, "Why am I watching this movie?" Because it was way too long and I was bored out of time. Having said that, Richard-Lael, I love you. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous to look at. I loved the scenery. I loved everything having to do with the freak show. I think that I'm pretty sure I sent a text about halfway through the movie, which I had already checked how far along I was about 20 times. So every few minutes. And about halfway through the movie, I said, it's like I'm an hour and some odd minutes in, and I don't know even what I'm watching. Like, I don't understand what's happening. It just felt very slow paced. The costumes were great. The scenery was great. The film was great. The sound was great. All of the things, all of the elements were there. But for me, I was not interested. My eyes were interested. My brain was not interested. I do think that a lot of those categories, Jason, that you mentioned that it was nominated for Oscars for, they deserved the nomination.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially like cinematography and things like that. There were some really, really cool shots. One of my favorites was there was like a thunderstorm rolling in, and it was like a far away shot with the carnival with the Ferris wheel all lit up and like the storm right above it. I thought that was really neat. I did. I'm trying to find nice things to say. I did not like it. I did not. At the end, I was running to get ready, and I think I'm just now sitting still and processing like what it is that I saw. And I feel like it was 2 hours too long. And yeah, I mean, then the cast was packed. Like, it was not, the cast was great. The scenery was great. The things were, I did not watch the black and white version, for anyone wondering. I did not, I don't think, and I'm glad I didn't, because 8 or 9 minutes more, I probably would have not shown up tonight. So that's where I'm at. Patty, in my opinion, you could see these pictures that our lovely producers are putting up on the screen, and that be enough.
I've done the movie. Movie. Okay. I have a question though. If it got all this critical acclaim and they re-released it, did it make up any of that lost money since then or anything?
No.
Wow.
I also never heard of it. Like, I had never heard of it until we talked about doing it for the podcast. I was probably one of the first people to go back to the movie theater after COVID because, I was COVID conscious, but also I took the precautions. I wore my mask until I got to the seat and whatever. And usually even through the movie, but I couldn't wait to get back out there because going to the movies is one of my favorite things to do. And somehow I did not hear of it. I had no idea that it existed, any of when it was first released or when it was re-released. And I love Guillermo del Toro, but this was not it for me.
I will say, I understand why a lot of people have issue. They take umbrage because it is a very long film. It is 2.5 hours. It is a long film. There is a little lull in the middle, and you don't really get to understand who the girl is that he is supposedly in love with. That being said, someone who has worked sideshows, someone who has been the MC for burlesque, for this sort of entertainment, there is, where this one was void of any supernatural isms. I felt that there was a certain amount of witchcraft, even in the cinematography, and also I wanted to talk about the witchcraft of believing. So the thing is, what I find is that sometimes, yes, there are charlatans, yes, there are fakes, yes, there are grifters. All of these things do exist out there. But the magic happens from the person that they are the mark. The magic happens in the person who does feel release. And the tarot cards were spot on. As a psychic medium who's also a witch, if you were looking at the tarot cards, which I actually have right here, not the same deck, but I have tarot cards, the ones that were featured. When Bradley Cooper goes into Madame Zena's house to use the bath, the cards that are laid out is the Wheel of Fortune, the Death card, Judgment, and the Star. So what the Wheel of Fortune to me represents is it's a cycle. It starts off really great. You've got some great opportunities coming your way, but be very careful because it can turn sour really quickly. And the Death card comes up, which says it's the end of a cycle, the beginning of a new. This is not a very good one for you to find. It's, if you're enjoying the ride, you won't be, especially when added with Judgment. You get what you deserve. And then the Star in the initial was held right side up, and then later on was reversed. Right side up, it says, you're the rising star. There is hope. There is joy. There's things that you're reaching. But in its inverse, it becomes narcissistic. It becomes toxic, and your joys have crashed to the earth. In the third act, well, I guess it's the end of the second act. There's like 3 acts in this one. There are
22.
other cards that they... What was that?
Or 22 acts.
There might be 22 acts. So the cards that Madame Zena shows, the Tower, sudden change. It's sudden change. It's sudden change. Everything that you have set up is going to fall. The Lovers, a moral choice. Things coming together, but you have to make a decision. The Hanged Man reversed, which says that you are incapable of letting go of something that is not good for you. You're incapable of it, and it will cause destruction. So the fact that Madame Zena is, in this universe, a real psychic medium, she's also an actress. And a lot of, as an actor, as a performer, as someone who has been in film and television and theater, a lot of theatrical actors, male and female, a lot of actors are innately within them spiritualists. They're innately witches. They don't realize that they are channeling spirits or energies or people, but they do it, and they do it effectively. So I do think this is a witchy film. Also, there's the symbol of the devil when he's chasing the geek through the carnival. That in of itself is rather supernatural.
Thank you. That is
Connection
beautiful.
lost.
Yeah. Come back. Come back. Come
We
back.
still see you, Richard-Lael. I don't know if you can hear us, but
I'm back.
Okay. Yay. Thank you for that. I'm so sad that this is the first movie I have missed. So sad.
I'm here. I'm here. It's just my weird internet is acting crazy. I don't know why.
Haunted.
It's hexed.
It's hexed. Jason, you watched the movie.
I did. I watched the movie, and I don't hate it as much as Courtney does, but I was horrified when I turned it
Courtney
on to
hexed
see
me.
that it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, because most movies do not need to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. And during the opening sequence, which really sort of sets up the movie, I think that's about 40 minutes long and felt like a film in and of itself. And then you move from the carnival to this almost entirely different story. And I felt like the carnival stuff could have been summed up in 10 or 15 minutes. It felt like we're trying to make this longer than it necessarily needs to be. I'm like, Courtney, I didn't know this movie was released in 2021, didn't know anything about it. I thought, being called Nightmare Alley, that there would be a bunch of nightmares in it. Like maybe it would be in the main character's head. There's a scene that Richard-Lael just talked about in the opening, kind of 20 minutes or so. The movie's so long it's hard to tell. It could have been in the opening 30 minutes, where the Bradley Cooper character is chasing the geek who gets loose, and they kind of go through this haunted house thing. And I wondered right then, like, oh, maybe this haunted house thing is like a cult tinged or something, and he goes into a journey of his mind and something crazy happens, and instead he just bashes the geek with like a pipe or something on his head, and that doesn't happen. I kept waiting for that, or like maybe like this one supernatural thing other than the good tarot readings might happen, and that never really happens. So the movie perplexed me for quite a while. Like Courtney says, it is sumptuous to look at, like any Del Toro movie. The cast is really, really terrific. I'm the only person in our coven who hates the movie Hereditary, but I love Toni Collette, who is the actress in Hereditary, and she's in this. She's Xena. She's the character there on your right, and she disappears basically after the first act of the movie, which is 40 minutes long. Richard-Lael mentioned the Rooney Mara character. Molly is her name in the film. Very, very underdeveloped. Very, very underdeveloped. Like all of a sudden Bradley Cooper's in love with her. Is that because maybe she's the prettiest girl there? But there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone with that relationship, which was sort of disappointing in its own way. Though it is cool when, she plays with electricity. Interesting movie. I've not been able to get it out of my head since I watched it yesterday, though I'm also not sure if I like it or not. I'm gonna not really know until we vote at the end of the film, or the end of our show.
I want to hop in real quick, Jason, because I think I was doing the same thing where I was like waiting for there to be like a something, like a twist, and I thought genuinely it was when the psychiatrist turned the recording on and was like talking about him being the patient. I was like, oh, this made sense. Like he was making it all up in his brain.
And that was another thing I thought. Yeah,
then that was not it. And I was like, wow, okay, great. I will say the ending was great. I thought that I'm trying to find something positive to say, and I'm not even stretching it to make this work. I did think that the ending was fantastic. I liked that it came full circle. I liked that he was crying. He deserved to be crying, whatever. But yeah, I was looking for that moment too. And I like got excited and thought that was gonna make it better, and then it did not. I didn't hate it though. I definitely did not hate it. Richard-Lael, I did not hex you yet. I'm thinking about it still, but
just the internet. Just the internet. You just
a minor,
that's the only thing.
It's a minor inconvenience, not a major one. It's just gonna be out for, I don't know, 2.5 hours.
It felt like 3 or 4 different movies in one movie.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just kind of goes from place to place. Like you have the opening stuff with the carnies and things, and that's interesting. And then 2 years later, and He's like a mentalist, I think is what the term that they use. He's, got the thing over his eye so he can't see. He's got a blindfold on and he can tell what's in bags, etc., etc. And that felt like one movie. And then at the end, when he goes and meets the industrialist with all of the money, his name is Grindle, that almost feels like an entirely different movie because like our focus has changed to this other character that we have to learn about. There was just kind of a lot jumping from place to place to place. I think it could have been much simpler, and certainly it could have been much shorter.
Okay. I wish I could talk.
I loved it. You know what? I even enjoyed it being long. I didn't have an issue with it being long like it was. I thoroughly stayed engrossed the first time I saw it. The second time, I think I've watched this probably 6 times. I just love it. I love everything about it. It's so dark and beautiful and painful, but beautiful. I don't know. I loved everything about it.
I have not watched it yet. I watched every trailer I could find in the last few minutes. I've checked out internet. I read things. I think I'm going to like it too, Richard-Lael. I don't mind the long. I don't mind the noir. I like the sitting back and just engrossing into a movie. So I think I'm going to like it. And I'm definitely going to watch it. By everything I'm hearing from all 3 of you, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 3 of you and
Phillips.
The good and the bad and the ugly, because I like things that are pretty and I like things that are stylized. So
see, not to always bring it back to this, which it deserves it, but I don't mind movies that are too long. Sinners, I wish had been another hour long, and also the story being broken up into like acts that are like different stories being mashed together. Sinners also did that, it felt like.
Yeah.
But it was different. Like it not even flowed better because it was very different. Like it felt like very different stories as you moved through it. But I could have done another hour of Sinners easily, and I saw that 4 times in the movie theater and countless times at home. So, but this one, for whatever reason, it just doesn't sit with me. So I do appreciate everything that it is, but I saw there was comments saying to watch it again. I will not be watching it again. It is just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, we're getting some.
It's a dark film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting some very positive comments, and more than usual in the chat room. I'm looking. So you guys chat away, even before we vote, because we need it. Yeah.
I'm sure that like people who love this movie really love this movie. It has a certain aesthetic. It has a certain tone.
I love this
It has
movie.
a certain way of being, which is different from a lot of movies that we've watched on the show and that I've experienced in my own life. As soon as I started watching the movie, I felt like the rhythm was something that was really different from what I usually get to see and watch and from what I usually enjoy. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy large parts of the movie, because I did, but it was unique. It was unique. And I also think the time period it's set in, sort of that era in the late 1930s, right up to World War II, is also an interesting time period for things having to do with seances and the occult. So I like when it's set. I mean, I think if it's set in modern times, it's too easy for people not to believe, especially when you're trying to conjure up an entire physical body of a ghost, right? Like they were trying to do that at the end. And that's just not something that a lot of psychics do anymore, but it was a trick that people did back then. I mean, I might be wrong, Patty, but I don't think a whole lot of psychics mediums do that anymore, right?
No, I've not seen one do that yet. Not a single one. No, and I've seen a lot of mediums. I love that. Courtney, do we have any quotes in your watching of the movie?
I have 3. One is my favorite, and Richard-Lael kind of mentioned it earlier, where they were telling him not to. The most important thing was not to oversell it, and this was actually my favorite part of the whole movie, is when she, towards the end, said, "Oh, I love you so much," and then she was like, "Oh, what happened? Did I oversell it?" And I was like, amazing. So that was one of them. And then I have two others, both of them said by Pete. When a man believes his own lies, starts believing that he has the power, he's got shut-eye, because now he believes it's all true, and people get hurt. Good, God-fearing people. And then you lie. You lie, and where the lies end, there it is, the face of God staring at you straight, no matter where you turn. No man can outrun God, Stan. And I think that's an important piece of, life advice that we can take from this movie.
Beautiful.
And also one that struck me, because this feels like it hits me right in the feels. He said, if you're good at reading people, it's mostly because you learned as a child trying to stay one step ahead of whatever tormented you. Now, if they really did a number on you, then that crack, it's a hollow, and there'll never be enough, and there's no filling that in. And that also feels very true. So those are my quotes.
Thank you. Beautiful. Good quotes. Jason, do we have a Mankey movie moment or
Oh,
two?
of course we do with this one. Of course. So before we talk about the movie, let's think about where we are in the world today. All right, just for a second. Currently, we are in the middle of a war with Iran with no end of sight. Because of that war, fuel prices are soaring, soon along with the price of everything else. Oh, one other thing, we've got a political party in the United States that is actively trying to make voting nearly impossible for women. Things are bleak, man, but few things will ever be as bleak as this movie, because this movie is bleak. Capital B, capital L, capital E, capital A, capital K. This movie isn't beak or peak, just bleak. Spoiler alert, the main character, played by Bradley Cooper, eventually falls completely from grace and ends the movie agreeing to be a carnival geek. Do you know what geeks do? They sit around in cages and eat live animals like chickens. Bradley freaking Cooper. If someone as charismatic and gorgeous as Bradley Cooper can end up eating live rats in a cage, what does that say about the rest of us? What chance do we have? This would be like seeing Richard-Lael wear a t-shirt with the words, "It's 5 o'clock somewhere" on it. Holy crap, that would be bleak. And unless he was doing it ironically, I think I would lose the will to live. I get that Cate Blanchett can play horrible characters, but did I need to see what she played yesterday? She completely destroys my boy Bradley Cooper, the voice of one Rocket Raccoon, for Christ's sakes. Now I'm just envisioning Patty laughing maniacally at me and telling me that all of the Bro Witch merch sold on the Mystery Control website was shipped out as faux witch merch because I'm a fake witch, and anyone who would buy merch inspired by me must be fake too. I've already called the witch police, Patty says, and they are going to take you into custody for being a faux witch. Where's that hair gotten you now, Mankey? Ha 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 ha. That would be bleak, but it's not as bleak as this movie. Do you know what's even crazier? Guillermo del Toro has made this movie even more bleak since its initial release. He released a black and white version. Why? Because a splash of color might have made someone smile. And then he made it even longer somehow, adding another 9 minutes to a movie that was already 6 hours and 7 minutes long. Why did he do that? So you could be even more uncomfortable sitting at a theater wondering if you would ever be allowed to pee again. That is bleak. Bleak. There's an embarrassment of riches in this movie, a cast that makes one say, "This must be awesome." A director and writer who has made some of the best movies of the past 25 years, and subject matter, mentalists and mediums, that makes my heart pitter patter. Let's get at her. But all of that gets lost in a ponderous movie whose end goal seems to be, how much can we depress the people watching this film? That, my friends, is bleak. And I, for one, need something at least a little bit uplifting right now. Ow, that movie hurt me. It hurts me. I still am thinking about it and the end of it, and I'm like, holy crap, that is depressing.
Thank you.
You.
And you don't own a "It's 5 o'clock somewhere" shirt, do you, Richard-Lael? Please don't ruin my
I do
night.
not. I do not.
That was good. That was very good, Jason. All right. Now I think we're going to be mixed on this one. We will see what the voting is.
Can I give a little bit before we vote? Could I give a little, just a little sort of pull for it? So the film, to me, I know it's bleak. I know that it doesn't end happily, but not everything has to end happily. Also, what I truly, as someone who has been a carny, I have friends who are mentalists, and they are actually specifically known as the sentimentalists. And I was in full on Willy Wonka garb, the top hat and the whole thing, and I'm standing back by the bar, and my friend says to me, "Think of a song, any genre, any year, any decade, any song. I'll tell you what that song is." Now, there are a lot of songs that I could have chosen, but specifically I chose one that was kind of obscure. And I look at this friend, and he looks at me and he says, "Your song, Masculine Women, Feminine Men, 1926, da 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 da, the year it was released, everything." And I was like, how? Like, I don't know how that can be, because I didn't even say anything. He just said, "Think of a song, any song." And that one is such an obscure thing. So I don't know how he did it. Even they fooled Penn and Teller. I don't know how they did it. And the girl who I don't think they work together anymore, but Steffi, who was sort of the straight man in the act, I asked her, I said, "How do you do this?" And she said, "Frankly, I don't know. It's all him." So I don't know. There's magic there. I don't know how it's done, and whether it be someone who's clever and knows things that other people don't. That's magic in and of itself. And I think also why I'm so impassioned about this one is that he had a choice. He had an absolute choice. Even Madame Zena told him, "You have a chance to stop right now and go back, because it's not written yet. You can go back." And he doesn't. He goes full force. And sometimes we do get into that vein, and we do run headlong into disaster. I've done that myself, and I am a professional. So there is magic, and I love this film. I love everything about it. I love it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you for that. I know mentalists as well, magicians who use mentalists, and they take pride in saying no psychic ability, no woo-woo, no anything. But I think they do have some woo-woo. They're just not going to admit it. I do, like Magic Castle here in Los Angeles, one of my favorite hangouts. Worked with Milt Larson for years and years. They have a fake seance room, but real stuff always happens. We know we are the real deal. We are the real mediums and stuff. We know it's a real art. I think they just get that left brain logical that, and I think that they're psychic and they don't know it. Some of them. I know that I don't know how they do it, a trick to it, the cold reading. I don't know how they do that. And I don't know how that he would have got one song out of the middle of nowhere. I think magic had to be involved. He just turned sideways. What does that mean? Sideways the other way. Anyway, all right. So now we've had Richard-Lael's whatever that was. So now
impassioned defense of this movie.
Defense. Very, thank you. Good words. Everybody vote. Wands up, wands down. I shouldn't vote because I didn't see it, but I'm gonna just go like this because I like it.
I can't get it out of my head. That means it's gonna be a wands up. Like,
Good
I keep thinking about it.
Jason.
I keep thinking about it. So I'm with Richard-Lael on this one.
Good for you. So up, and midway for Courtney. So this wasn't so bad. What about all you guys in the chat room? Your cat is watching. Kevin's cat. Does your cat want wands up or wands down? Wands up or I will strike. That's good. Wands up, way up. I received one. I don't know what that means. Ripley's one's mostly up. One's up. One's sideways because Cooper and Del Toro. One's up. Well, we are definitely getting more ups, and we haven't gotten any real downs yet. We've got some midways. So,
Oh,
guess-
Oh,
there's
there
one.
it is. There it is. Sorry,
oh,
Richard-Lael, my wand is
Robert.
down.
Robert's down. We love you anyway, Robert. One's up from Aaron. Okay. We actually have some extra time, and we could talk about the Oscars. But before we even go there, what are we watching next week? In case anybody doesn't want to hang with us, does anybody know what we're watching next week?
Oh, where's to not have Heather here? We're so lost.
Oh, Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Thank you. Okay, next week we'll all watch it this time. Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I won't be here next week. Sorry.
Okay. Oh no,
She has to recover from this week's movie.
Yeah, well, I need at least 2.5 to 3 business weeks to recover from that. So
It's not just that you have to recover; it's still going on.
right. It's actually playing behind us here on my computer screen.
Okay, so Something Wicked This Way Comes. Let's talk about the Oscars. We are days away from a very, very witchy Oscar presentation. And from the little bit we talked about it, we were pretty right on in some of our thoughts and predictions.
I have things to say, actually.
Oh,
I really enjoyed our live chat in our Witches Movie Coven group chat because I was not in front of a television, could not watch it for the first little bit of it. So I appreciated the updates. One Battle After Another, fine movie, should not have won Best Picture. Absolutely not, under no circumstances. Also, so sorry, should not have won Best Director.
Nope.
Absolutely not, under no circumstances. And I would also like to point out that my close personal friend, Michael B. Jordan, thanked me in his acceptance speech personally and professed his love for me because he said, "Thank you and I love you" to anyone that saw Sinners 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in the movie theater. That was me. So that was really special. That was absolutely, I cannot get enough of watching that moment over and over again. He deserved that, beyond deserved that. And I think I'm glad some of the lesser characters, I know I was all in on Sinners, some of the lesser categories I didn't really think that they needed to win. And I'm glad Hamnet got Best Adapted Screenplay. I'm glad that Aunt Gladys got Best Supporting Actress. I don't think Sean Penn should have got Best Supporting Actor, frankly, because I just don't think, I think people say that he did really great in that movie, and I'm sure, great, yeah, he did, but it wasn't revolutionary to me. I feel like I've seen him do that before, or at least that's just my opinion of him. I don't know, but those are my thoughts, and I've been dying to talk about it literally this entire time.
Yay, thank you.
I just do not understand the hoopla over One Battle After Another. I knew that it was going to win because it had won a bunch of other awards, but I was pretty disappointed to see Sinners not win Best Director for Ryan Coogler and Best Picture. I just thought it was unique and different, and that's the movie that we're going to be talking about 5 or 10 years from now. And I don't think it's going to be One Battle After Another at all. It was an okay movie. It was too long.
I was just going to say another one that was too long.
It was too long, and the best parts of it were not Leonardo DiCaprio or Sean Penn, but yeah, I don't understand it. I don't get it. But that's one thing about the Oscars that I've never gotten. They feel like movie awards for critics and some of the people in Hollywood. I don't think very often they represent the taste of normal average people who go to the movies. I think the last time that a movie I truly, truly loved that won Best Picture was probably Return of the King. And that wasn't even the best movie in the Lord of the Rings movies. That was The Two Towers, which wasn't really even nominated for anything. I think the Oscars are often very, very pretentious. And I thought that on Sunday night, they showed their pretentiousness by giving all of those awards for One Battle After Another. while Sinners was something that people loved, that resonated with people, that also happened to be a box office success. And
It was just technically a better movie. Like just from a technical standpoint, it was a better movie. There was more put into it, I think.
Well, I mean, I agree with you guys again, listeners, but this isn't the People's Choice Awards. This is
it's not
by the movie people. That's their thoughts, and maybe they are pretentious, and maybe they are whatever. People's Choice Awards would be about what the John Q. Public wanted, so they don't care what people wanted.
Ryan Coogler, you win the Witches Movie Coven award, at least from Courtney and Jason, because I know Richard-Lael's not signing off on.
Yeah,
but at least from some of us.
The thing is too with Patti is like I get that, and I agree with you. Yeah, they're not going by what everybody thinks, but Ryan Coogler directed Michael B. Jordan's performance. Like as two separate people, he held his face different. I don't know if you've been reading about this, but he held his face differently when he was one of the twins to create dimples. Though that was him doing that. He wore different shoes. He wore smaller shoes when he was one of them to change the way that he walked. He wore bigger shoes to change the way that he walked. And Ryan Coogler did all that. So that to me is way better directing than, and not just like I think like technically that's way better directing than a movie that is just a movie. Like it wasn't anything spectacular. They didn't do anything fantastical or spectacular. Whereas I think Sinners did. And just from like not an opinion standpoint, just from like a technical standpoint, I think they got it wrong. And one battle after another is fine. And I did see that one twice too. And it was way too long, and it was way too long both times. And I would like it to have been cut down an hour.
Thank you. Richard-Lael, you were starting to say something? You were. Maybe not. Is he frozen again?
I think he's on a delay.
I didn't watch the Oscars, but I couldn't help but watch the opening credits with the makeup of am I frozen? I don't know. I'm here. My internet is out. Courtney hexed me. Go on. Am I frozen? I don't know.
Come back. Keep going.
I'm frozen.
Keep going.
No, you're not. Keep going.
I guess I have to let it go. Let it go. Oh, okay. I loved Conan O'Brien's intro. I loved the reference to weapons. I thought it was hilarious as he was running through all of the movies that were nominated. I thought it was brilliant. And there was so little makeup that Conan O'Brien was actually wearing to be the witch. I loved the opening. I loved the opening with Conan O'Brien. So much the little makeup that he had was perfect as Aunt Gladys. Perfect. Loved it.
Loved that Amy Madigan won that Best Supporting Actress role award because usually you don't see people in horror films winning something, and having to talk about that again last week like conjured up a lot of nightmares for me from that movie, especially her performance.
And the horror movies cleaned up at the Oscars, which was amazing to see. And like Frankenstein won a ton of awards. Sinners won a good handful. Weapons, and that's incredible as a horror fan. I also would like to point out how irate and upset I was when they played off the K-pop Demon Hunters song win, because everyone else who looked different than they did got however much time seemingly to talk, and multiple people could talk, and then they got played off in what felt like 30 seconds. I wanted to hear what they had to say. They also got half a song. And as much as I love Sinners, they won Best Original Song. They should have been able to, and I know it's live TV and whatever, but like Bridesmaids did not have to be out there for 100 years. Like we could have done a whole mess of other things and let people have their moment. I don't care if it runs long. Let it run long. But give people an extra 30 seconds so that they can all talk. And I was irate after that.
I agree. All right. We've done it. It is that time. Next week, something wicked this day comes. Is that what we said? Oh God, that was 5 minutes ago. I don't remember. Anyway, Come back next week. We have one more thing to do in our last minute of the day. In your best Oscar performance, your
no.
best witchy Oscar performance. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!